come in. But yeah, hi everyone. Feel free to say hi and chat for the meantime. It's good to catch up with you all again.
Yeah. Don, were you just making a bet?
Me?
Yes. Were you just making a sports bet?
No. Didn't look like I was. That was the
Yes.
wife calling in, wanting to know whether we were going to have dinner tonight. So,
Oh,
yeah, she's on the way home.
better have it ready, Don.
I got to learn how to do this betting thing because, I do want to try it. All right. But that point spread,
No,
uh,
it's confusing
that
sometimes. I know.
that's going to mess things up.
Don,
So,
Yeah.
speak to the Reddit forum guys because we were regularly betting on ARV projects the last 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
yeah, I know, but how do you like even if you know the winner, do you know that they're going to win by a spread of 9 points? I mean,
Yeah, I'm lucky in the UK because in the UK here there's so many betting opportunities. We can bet on anything we want.
mm,
Um, and I would never spread or do the under and over thing. I would just like because I'm an easy person. I just like simplicity, so I would just do who's going to win and who's going to lose kind of thing.
yeah, that's what I guess Rick Hilliard was doing. Just you get the winner, bet on that. So,
Yeah. Or try to join the remote viewing for applications and financials on Facebook, run by
uh,
Tunde.
yeah, I'm in that. I haven't
Okay,
done anything with it yet, but
ask around in there then, because there are several people in there that have spent huge amounts of time, like Tunde himself, on betting using RV.
okay, all right, cool, thanks. But Jimmy there is the big winner. He's the heavy hitter here.
I don't know. Tunde's won thousands at a time on doing RV on bets.
Wow.
Don,
You, yeah.
I'm the worst gambler, so I don't gamble. So it's
I
either
even
that or I'm
had
sleeping
this.
on. Listen, it's either that or I'm sleeping on the couch because the wife's mad. So there's no arguments there.
Remote viewing is supposed to be like, I don't know, 70 or 80% accurate. So I was like thinking, okay, like I'll take 6 bets of $50 each and I'll use that in a pool and I'll just play, to win for each one. And if those don't come through, I've got the six. And if one comes through, that'll probably replenish the whole pool because that bet on the World Series that returned $500 for 50, right? So that's like your pool is back there. So and if you like got an increase, if you're winning, you could actually increase the amount that you're betting each time, kind of a thing. Look how much I figured this out without having any account or any knowledge of how to do this. I mean,
I'm of a different slant. You see, I don't understand why people bet on games where you can lose your money, where you could invest your money on markets and cryptos and don't lose it.
well, I've lost a ton of money in the stock market, and I don't know.
But you only lose it if you sell.
Um, yeah, I know, but there's this. When the market is dropping like a rock, and I mean like a rock, it's panic. It's just panic.
Yeah, you just got to be detached from it. I think.
Yeah, I guess so.
I know loads of people making money RVing cryptos and markets right now. Yeah,
I'm a little
that seems to be where it's at.
hesitant, but somehow I feel like, believe it or not, playing the lottery is actually a better opportunity. Like pick four, we have a pick four here. I believe I can do that. I really got to try
Well, if you
this.
can do that, you can do cryptos. Like some of the cryptos I've RV'd intuitively. I've doubled my money in 5 days, and then you just do that and you just get out.
Well, you only make money when you cash out. Now, if you're still invested in that thing, you really have not made any money yet, Daz.
Yeah, oh, I've cashed out in several instances. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Don,
yeah.
Well, good for
Don, I,
you.
Don, I was the same way because I'm retired too, and I have an investment broker, and I was the same way thinking there is something to crypto cryptos and stuff. I looked into it after Dad sent me some information, and I have to be honest with you, I did change my point of view on it. There is,
Interesting.
I think, if you're a decent remote viewer, I do believe you can make some money in crypto. But I think my own self so far, I didn't invest. I have $500 I put aside for it. But you have to know when. I call it short term investment. I don't think it's
Yeah.
long term like we're used to. I have
Yeah.
a broker that does my money and stuff. I think you have to be able to first be able to lose $500, like
Yeah.
and then take your time, whatever feels right, that type of thing. Just like in remote viewing, same idea. And I'm convinced now there is ways of making some money. I'm still learning it. Daz has some great sites he sent me, information and stuff, which is it'll change your view. It will. And at first, I was like you. I was old school. I've been investing for 30 years with a broker, and I'm living off money, that type of money and stuff. And I have changed my view. And I believe my broker, he doesn't understand the idea behind cryptos and stuff.
Yeah.
He's just
Neither
not
does mine.
well informed. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
not well informed. Yes, both of them are risky. Yours, like you said, I lost a little money doing some long term with my broker. But with cryptos, though, if you can afford to lose, say, $500 in a couple of months, you could hit it, though, where you could double your money in a month or two. I've looked into it, and there's something to it. It's not a fad. So I do believe that the future is something along cryptos, and I call it digital money. So I don't know. There's something to it. There is. It's not. It's not going
Okay.
to go away.
Okay. You know what we need here is we need a little bit of a introductory course for
We
people
can do a
in
Zoom chat one
Yeah.
night where we just go through some markets and some crypto stuff. And I can show you some of my past crypto viewing projects where we accurately predicted the rise of Bitcoin months in advance, where we predicted the Dow Jones movements months in advance. And just some general stats and tools that I use and stuff. And I was no expert. I was terrible at money all my life. But the last 18 months of being heavily involved in crypto viewing and taking it a lot more seriously, I've never had much disposable income being a self-employed graphic designer all these years. But over the last 18 months, I have increased my personal investment in cryptos by 700%
wow.
by using RV. And you can't
I
get that
believe
kind
it.
of return anywhere.
I believe it, and I think it's Don. I look at it this way: from us as normal investors and retired people, I look at it as just like in remote viewing, there is a signal that gets thrown out,
Yeah.
and if you're a remote viewer, you should be able to pick up maybe 55 to 60% of the time movement of something up or down or whatever. You get a feeling. And I'm starting to get that way with cryptos now. It was been a few weeks, but I'm no expert either. I'm still learning, like remote viewing. But there is something to it. My gut tells me that you should look into it if you can afford a few $100. You could lose it. You
Yeah.
may surprise yourself. I did buy some stuff through a little app type thing and stuff. And so far, I haven't lost anything, but I do get a good feeling about it. And I'm trusting my gut. So, yeah. Something to look into and consider.
Don, next week, probably maybe even tomorrow, I'll be releasing a preliminary report of a project I've been running for 3 months, and I think I may have discussed it, where we've been using for the first time ideograms to predict ARV binary movements. And of the trials that are working for that, we were running at 100% accuracy on the initial trial. So I'll be releasing that over the next couple of days. And I'm going to ask the people that were involved in that one, because it was only literally an 11 target trial. But it's become so successful that early next year I will probably run another 50 target trial just to see if we can confirm the data on it. But I'm going to put the report out in a couple of days so that people can take it and run with it if they want to and look at it themselves.
Okay. And look, if we're going to have a chat about this thing, definitely include me. I'd like to sort of look, I don't know a thing about it, like even how to buy a digital wallet or whatever that you've got to do to get involved in
Yeah,
this.
we can definitely go through a start session, and Naeem's here as well, and he's heavily into it as well. So we can do something between the several of us and show you, some of the basics. For a starter, so you don't need any of that digital wallet stuff. I would just use an exchange just for the first few $100 and just see how you get on, kind of thing. But we can show
Okay.
you how to do all that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
All right. Well, thank you, guys.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, well, thanks everyone. So we got a few people here at the moment, 31. I'll keep letting people in. So what we're going to do, I guess, is see if any of you brave souls here want to review your November data that you got, your predictions, to see how accurate you were, and if you want to discuss anything on that. So do any of you want to go first? That we know then. Come on.
I'll go first then.
Okay, go for it, Nita.
All right, I was just preparing my files. Sorry.
You
I
can
guess
share
I
the
have-
screen if you need to.
Yeah, I think I'll do that. I'm just checking. Everything's fine. All right, so I only did one news prediction for November. And what I described was I did it at the end of November. And I received feedback on 21st or 22nd of November. Sorry. I did the session at the end of October, and feedback I received on 21st or 22nd of November. What I predicted was a person driving a car deliberately onto people. And I described the city, and I drew a map of where this happens. And it turned out to be a very strong match. I've never done a screen share. How do I do it? Okay, I found it.
Yeah.
Okay, what am I doing here? I've never done this before. Okay, can you see my screen?
It's loading up now. That's it.
You see a folder?
Yes, we see a folder with lots of images in there.
Okay. First, here, do you see this browser? Okay, so this is the feedback. Thank you to Henrietta who found it for me. So this happened in Wisconsin. They were having a Christmas parade in Waukesha, and a person drove a car into the people who were doing a Christmas parade, and more than 20 people were injured, including children. It was very brutal. So I can show you some things from my report. Here's one of the drawings I made. So here you see the car and some people on the ground. I heard people screaming. It was very graphic. I could see all the injuries and feel them. So here's the map I drew. So if you see where I have target with an X on the right side, so I was just probing around looking for coastlines to figure out which continent, where in the world is it. And I already suspected that this looks like North America. You have the huge bay to the north, the huge bay to the south looks like the Gulf of Mexico, and so forth. So this composite I made when I had feedback. So if you see the red marker on Google Maps, that's where this happened. And I also placed now a red marker on my map. So it's a very, the map was very good. It shows the exact location on North America. And you can also see the two large bays to the north, and Hudson Bay and Gulf of Mexico as I drew. And also describe this pyramidal shaped building. And this photograph is from Wisconsin. This city is very close to where this event happened. And I think RV was telling me Wisconsin with this pyramidal building. And as for the driver, I described him. I wrote in my report, there will be an angry poster posted about this place being the dark tunnel. On that poster is a picture of a man who feels to be the driver. The driver has a narrow gap between the two upper front teeth. And on this picture of him, you can see that he does. And also wrote, I'm looking at a man. He has big puckered lips. His ears are set low on the sides of the head, and the top lobes of the ears are folded outward. His hair is curly and thick with a brown coloration. And that is correct. If you look at this picture of him, you can see that the ears are exactly as I described. Also, his hair is woolly or curly. So I consider this a nearly perfect session, so I'm very happy with it, especially with the map. I really nailed it. So yeah, I was surprised to do so well, because usually I have a problem with displacement. How do we switch off the done there? Okay.
You got it?
Yeah. So now you don't see my screen.
No, I still see it at the moment.
Oh, how do I switch it off?
It's all right. I could do it here, I think.
Okay.
Oh.
Sorry.
There you go.
Okay, so we're back.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I was surprised that it went so well, because usually if I have even a delay before I get feedback, it's just displacement all over. So
Great session. Has anyone got any questions that they want to ask or comment on with Anita's session? Yeah, go for it, Don.
Yeah, I'm just curious how much time you spent on this, Anita.
oh gosh, I think I spent like 2 whole days, because when I
Oh,
do what I
wow.
call I don't do these 1 hour 45-minute sessions, because I'm using my own method. It's not CRV, it's not ERV. I take a long time.
Ah, you really nailed it. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time though, Anita. Wow.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work.
Yeah, it does. When I really commit, it takes 1 day, but here I did 2.
Have you ever thought about maybe just using, because the map's great and the great illustration that you drew, but have you ever thought maybe, I don't know, having a map of the world that you just stick a point on or something already made?
No, I don't want to, because to me that's kind of a front loading. It would make logic start imagining things. So what I do is I have my central target, and I start by looking around the central area. Then I go high up in the sky and I find nearby landmarks that I can see from above. And then what I do is I just start looking for coastlines. Where's the nearest coast? What kind of mountains, lakes, other landmarks, airports? And then I go high up in the sky and I try to see the whole continent all at once. And my maps are really good so far. So I think that helps.
If it works for you, it's just the time constraints, really. I don't know many people that spend.
Oh, the map doesn't take so long. The map doesn't take so long. The other things do.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing that. Great stuff.
Yeah.
Don, you got your hand up? Did you want to go next with something, or was that it with the hand up?
No, I got something here. Let me share my screen. Get this over here. Share screen. Screen 1. Share it. Okay, so this is the session that I wanted to talk about. I did a nice big summary for you here, Daz, so that we wouldn't have to plow through the thing. Strike by auto workers in the USA. I wasn't sure whether it was GM or not. Negotiations fail. Compromises rejected. This part I got wrong. There was something about it seemed like a bailout, but anyway, negotiations succeeded, and the United Auto Workers members won big gains in their strike, and this was through the month of November, and they just settled this strike. So kind of an odds kind of a thing. But yeah, United Auto Workers, there it is. Short and sweet.
Great work. Was that the only one that you had, or did you do more? That
Well, okay. Yeah, there was one other one here. Let me, how do I show the screen again? Is this one? Yeah, this one, sort of like, I don't know what to make of it because there were so many volcanoes going off through this month. I just read about another one. Rocky landmass will experience a sudden violent upheaval, shaking, scary ground rolling, and a huge displacement of solid material into the air, severely reducing visibility. This part didn't seem to, I'm not sure that part came true, transition to complete calm, but yeah, too many volcanoes erupting all of a sudden. I'm not sure what to make of it.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I had similar data, volcano data, and I think other people did in crypto viewing. And although they are hits, it's hard. Yeah, when there's so much happening like that, with La Palma and everything, it's hard to then quantify it as much as you'd like to as a hit.
Yeah, it was sort of like close but no cigar.
Yeah, it's almost like when we do these, we need to kind of say to ourselves, okay, anything that's currently big in the news, like COVID and volcanoes, that I don't want to report whether it's big news or not, because how do we kind of quantify? You'll always find the skeptics that say, well, it's in the news anyway, so, and it happens every month, so are you predicting the news accurately?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it for me. Yeah.
Thanks, Don. Thanks for sharing on that. Sasha, do you want to go next?
Yes, please. I don't know if I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can hear you fine.
I just wanted to know for Anita, what's your cooldown process?
Cool down as in after session, how do I?
No, prior to your session. Like, what do you do to get prepared?
I don't do anything. I'm using my own method, so I'm probably not doing what I should be doing, what everyone else is doing. I don't do anything. I just go into it. I find that as soon as I look at the target number, it just hits me in the face with the initial elements, and I just go. When I've tried meditations or such to get started, I kind of lose the signal. So I just do nothing. It's been the best for me.
That's fascinating. Thank you.
Was there anything else, Sasha? No.
No, thank you. That's all.
Okay. Josh, you're up next then.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay? All right. Yeah, so I had I had no idea at the end of my session whether I was getting AOLs because of work or just literally no clue what it was that I was looking at. Or the source of it or what it could be, but I just kind of I jotted down a lot of things. I figured it was sort of a construction project of some sort, and I think I ended up getting 3 hits out of this, really. So I wrote in there that there would be an announcement regarding Biden's infrastructure plan, and I think that happened on maybe November 1st or 2nd. It passed. It was pretty early in the month. And then I just kind of forgot about it. It was like, okay, cool. I got something. So I left it. And then a few days later, I had a bunch of stuff about it being sort of a high-tech project, concern about the environment. There was underground stuff, pipes, tunnels, mountains in the background. Where was that? Yeah, mountains in the background and things like that. Major construction. And damage to the environment. And anyhow, Ellie Molina hit me up a few days later with what I figure is probably some pretty strong feedback. So I'll just share that. I had a bunch of stuff in there about capitalism and billionaires and things that I wrote down too. So this story came up about this advanced nuclear reactor in a coal town. So as soon as I saw this image, I was just like, wow, yeah, that's what I was looking at. You know, it's got the mountain in the background and the tunnels and everything else. And the very first AOL I had was the Large Hadron Collider, which is like a big circle with a, you know, energy beam that comes through the middle. And when I saw this image in the feedback in this article, I was like, oh man, that must have been what it was. And you know, just the more I read through it, you know, it's funded by, you know, various billionaires. It's half of the funding is coming from Biden's infrastructure plan. So I was pretty sure that this was it. And then you see this. I saw this composite. I mean, it's an artist rendering, but it's still, you know, there was some very strong similarities. I had, you know, there were multiple buildings and pipes and all this other stuff. So anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. And then right around the end of the month, the Large Hadron Collider itself actually showed up in the news. They had discovered something called they were calling a ghost particle. I think that one was on Vice, and I saw it one or two other places too. So I guess 3 hits out of it, which was cool, because I'm new at this. I've been doing this for 2 months, and I went into this thinking, you know, maybe I'll get something, or maybe I'll get nothing, and it's just such a cool experience to throw something out there and then have it come back to you like that. So thanks again, Daz, for having me on there and hosting this cool open mic.
Yeah, no worries. Are you gonna do, or have you done the December one? Are you gonna do that one?
I did. I
Excellent.
got some very interesting stuff on for December.
Okay.
I,
Yeah.
I was looking through everyone else's data and seeing all kinds of little sketches that other people did that I had and things like that, and you know, phrases and words, and anyway, it's so cool.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, and thanks for sharing as well. And yeah, keep it up. It's a long road, but you know, it's a good road of discovery.
Totally.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so next up then is Jimmy James.
Thanks, Daz. I have no clue how to share a page. I'm using my wife's laptop. I got to say, one of the things, I don't know about you, but I think I've mentioned it to you, that I don't think most people know my backstory at all about why I got into remote viewing. I had a near-death experience, and after that experience, I started getting precognition and dreams and all that stuff there, and that's when I eventually started hearing Art Bell and stuff, whatever. But regarding my laptop and stuff, I have chronic electronic problems. I spoke to John Booth, I believe his name is, from the Rhine Institute about it. I just had to buy another new phone the other day. It was malfunctioning. My wife got the same thing. Hers is fine. Mine is malfunctioning. And regarding, like, even today, I couldn't use my computer. I had to use my wife's computer. So I can't load up my information. It's on your site on November 20th. I can see it on my phone here regarding it. And what happened was with me, I tried to do
I can show it if you want me to show it for you.
That's fine. That'd be great. Thank you.
Bear with me a second here then. Photos.
It's under November 20th on your site.
Yep. I've got 2 for you, I think, but let's see.
One is for December, and this is November. November is the one.
No, one's a summary. Sorry, one's a summary, and then there's a session. Right? Yeah. Hang on a sec. I'll just get this. I'll get it up, and you tell me when you want me to move through the pages.
Yep.
Oh, is it only got 1 page?
It's got a summary with a picture. So I did a free form with Angela Ford.
I just need to find a way to rotate this in a sec. Rotate pages. Yep. And I'll get the summary up as well. Okay. Let me close the window here. Share screen. Can you see that?
Yep. What I'll say is that when I tried doing a normal CRV session, and I couldn't get nothing. I literally couldn't get an enneagram. So I took a 20, 30-minute break, went back again, tried it, nothing, no luck. So my backup plan is what I learned from Angela Ford, which is a free form a little bit of CRV, a little bit of like intuition type stuff, just letting go. So on a whiteboard, I did it, and it flowed better. And I got was in Washington D.C. There was going to be an angry protest. People were pissed. I could feel it. I could sense the weather outside being cool, and there's going to be arrest. And I didn't know exactly why, but I could just sense it. So I wrote everything down as Angelo trained me to write down, including AOLs and everything. And then, of course, the next page is the summary, which happened. I forgot what date it happened. But it says right there, everything's information's right in it. There was a large protest. And then in the news, hundreds were arrested outside the White House on the second day of they were protesting over voter rights. And the picture that it was on Yahoo News pretty much matched that picture that I drew there. That's what I saw. My initial first freeform impression was that. And it matched up pretty about 80-90% of it. And that's when I sent it in. I said, close enough for me. At least it was target site contact.
Yep.
But it's just, that's the best I could do for that. I wish CRV would have worked. It just didn't work. So I went freeform and came up with that. And
Excellent.
that's my story.
Yeah. Are you going
Now,
to
look,
do?
have you noticed? I'm just kind of curious. You've been doing this a long time. I think I sent you the message. I don't know if you want to talk about it to the other remote viewers regarding interference or something else going on when you're remote viewing. Because I'm convinced now that there is something else going on. I don't know, like if it's a psychic thing, if you're tapping into a different dimension or something. I'm convinced now that there is something at times that go on. Whether it's your consciousness expanding more and you don't know what to do with it or something. I don't have the wording for it, but I do believe, though, that under certain conditions, I mean, look at when everybody else does their talk, I'd be willing to tell my story about my near-death experience, which changed my life. But, let's stick to remote viewing first. But this does have to lead into remote viewing and my experiences and stuff. So just leave it up to you, how you like to continue, whatever.
Yeah, let's see. Let's get these out of the way first, and then
Okay.
see where this goes the rest of the night. Yeah,
Yep.
Thanks for that.
Yep.
So, Erica, would you like to go next? Is Erica around?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry. I was just making copy paste pictures of all the things that I wanted to explain.
Yeah, no worries.
So let me share the sessions that I had. They're very simple because I didn't spend more than 10 minutes on each on average. I didn't go into very deep analysis and okay. So I hope you can see, this is one of the sessions. I did them in blind. And what I did is I took the target number 2021-1101 idea and a few other targets from just one of the remote viewing training websites, which is free. And I de-identified them. I pretty much just wrote on a paper, small sheet of paper, named them, gave them a different ID, mixed them, and just took them out. So basically, I did them in blind. I wouldn't know what I was looking at. It could have been just a normal training target, just a picture of something, a photograph of something, or it could be news. So for that reason, and the fact that I really didn't go too deep, it's I have a summary. This is not the original. This is a summary on one page of what I did, of my perceptions, and I do have my own way of how I'm trying to see and perceive things. But I think you could see some commonalities. One thing that I didn't put down is actually sidereal time here. I didn't copy it, and I didn't copy any ideograms, but they are in the original. So the first one of the one of the sessions that I perceived was it turned out, I think it was the Astro World concert in Houston. I almost dismissed this session, and I didn't want to submit it and include it because at least in my part of the world, we have very strict gathering restrictions for gathering of large crowds and so forth. However, what I perceived was some sort of stage where somebody was singing out a story, and the people were looking at it. Like I can definitely perceive that people were, their eyes were focused on that stage and they were looking at it. And there's some sort of interpretation, art installation. I did get a pleasant feeling. So, so I thought, okay, it could be a performance. And what I usually do is, if you see the horizontal line at the bottom, there's a target, which is like, it doesn't matter, is it a picture or in this case, event. My intent is usually to focus that point in time, which is that event, which I will see in the future. And that will be some sort of a picture, a video. It will be something that I will see. And then I take time back and forward. And then I draw my hand and just try to identify any perception that I have. So the first perception that I identified was some sort of disturbance, instability, shaking. I didn't go too deep into this, but there was definitely some instability that I felt. First thing was earthquake, because I didn't feel stable on my feet. And but that event took place before, that sensation was before the actual event that I marked in the center, which would be the picture that I would see in the future. So that was odd. And of course, I perceived the fire, lots of fire and lots of artificial light, and I hate artificial light myself. So that kind of made me think, okay, it's a concert, I guess. Now, looking back now, and of course, there's a music, beat and rhythm and all the stuff that you can see. Now, let me share two other sessions, which I think link to the same Astro World event. Very unfortunate and very tragic event. Okay, hold on a sec, please.
Is there any way you can make these things larger? I'm on a large screen and I still can't read what you've got up there.
Daz, is it possible, please? Could you please share the files that I submitted?
Let me see if I can get them up. Oh, here a second.
Thank
Bear with me. Just trying to find them in. Oh yeah, they're in a zip file. Bear with me. They're in a zip file. I have to unzip them first. Let's see what I can get up here. That's 1, 2, 3. So I got 5 files. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Which one would you like me to get up? Should we show the first one again just so people can see it bigger?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, so here was the first one there.
And yeah. So this is a copy of the original. So I tried to arrange this information so it's readable. In the original, it's arranged slightly differently. I have my own order of how I do things, and not everything has been copied to this one. But
where would you like to go next?
Next one.
Is this one okay?
Yeah, I mean, somebody wanted to have a closer look at it, so can we go to the next one, please? Because there are 2 other ones that I think link to the Astro World as well.
Yeah, which one? I got 5 files here, so which one would you like?
You can keep this one.
Okay.
Thank you. So in this one, I perceived a lot of fire and some yellow strings of fire in the circle, and people are trying to communicate around it somehow, trying to work together as a team. And again, there's some machine oil smell and very chaotic, very dynamic scene. And if you can scroll down, thank you. So yeah, and there's a very fine line of the temperature. I could definitely perceive this is a high temperature event. There's lots of fire, and on the stage they did have lots of fire, and they have that ring type formation. So, and if you scroll down to the timeline, so yeah, so in this one, for some, like, if I get perception that something has been there before, like it was there, so it's continuous process that happened. So that continuous process, it could be that concert, the and the conflict. There's more conflict that's taking place, and it's just the whole thing gets complicated and it's pretty heavy. I just because of the presence of fire and how complex it is, and visuals that I got around it, it just really copy paste as to what I saw on the stage that they had. And if you go to the previous one that you script where you have something like panorama wheel.
This one?
Yes, thank you. So it turns out that this one, the event, the location, it had a panoramic wheel in the background. I will show you, once we're done with this, I can show you the photos of that location and where it was. It was right next to that event. And I think I had AOL as well. Is that a panorama wheel? And the subjects, the intense sensation of subjects just being drawn to it. I mean, I perceive as they were drawn to this thing, which looks like a panorama wheel. But I mean, the concept was right there next to it. So, and it was such a pull. It's like they were hypnotized or something. And then again, there was an event where it felt like a fall, like something going down deep. And it was very, like many subjects, and it was very slippery for them to get up. They tried to get up and they couldn't get up. And this specifically involved a lot of subjects. So yeah, and I did put the water down because it felt like as if you were drowning. But from some of the people that they described that they were, the feel sensation they had was if they were drowning. So yeah, light green for the panorama wheel, and I will show you a picture later, share my screen, and actually it had such colors as well. So if we go to the next one, so these are the three that I linked together to the astral world. You can critique it, you can disagree, but like when I look in the retrospective, that's how I link them. And because these were totally independent sessions, totally independent. This one I was confused about, but then when I saw news about the research, the study that they did in Stanford University about the quantum entanglement, the slit experiment, that's when I at least I identified, okay, that was it. Because I had very difficult time describing what I perceived here. There was definitely an event where people would congratulate somebody, and one specific person. I mean, in the news, it wasn't that person wasn't highlighted. What was highlighted, the process, that significant science experiment that they were able to achieve, which pretty much opened new opportunities to the universe, to understanding the quantum processes. So this is very complex, but this is how I say that this is a fit. I don't think I described it well because it was very, very complex, but definitely it was mathematical. It was something that would fall into the places. It was very calculated and extremely, extremely cold temperature. And that is why I was thinking, is that about quantum computing? Is that about, because small, tiny things and cold temperatures, that's usually about the quantum computing. So that's why I had these AOLs. But and just very cold, calculative, and very, very small particle. And that person has the control of these things. And it turns out that the experiment was about them having the ability now to control this quantum process. It's very complex. I'm not a scientist. I've studied engineering, but love physics. But yeah, and down at the timeline, you can definitely see that people would cheer it. It would be cheering it. So it's a positive event, and somebody would be honored. But then I thought, okay, why the person is there? Why there? I mean, is it a death of that person who maybe discovered something? And then I get that, well, it's something that we are using already, something that we were driving, but that just came into my mind. So I don't know. So that's the closest I got, was linked to that event. Different things, yeah. And the last one, this is something that I couldn't identify. I couldn't identify it. It's a very similar description. One thing that is missing out of this picture is a mountain in the background. I didn't put it down. But basically, if on the far side, they had Aziz did one of his sessions, and he went way more into the detail. But what he described, I was like, okay, yes, this is exactly, well, kind of exactly my subjective perception is what I saw. However, I couldn't identify in the news. I didn't notice in the news any such event. There was explosion in the suburbs. I do not count it because that was in the suburbs. It wasn't a factory. It wasn't industrial site. It was a family house that exploded, and it was in the night, not during the day. This was during the day. There were some explosions in China that were reported on WION, World as One News, but I couldn't correlate because it was very. I heard it only on the WION, and that news was suppressed because they had multiple explosions in different locations of the cities. So no clue about this. I don't have the answer about this. And may I share real quickly the pictures from the okay. Let's see. So this is the astral world. Lots of fire and the circle things and the yellow things, and that's okay. And now I'm going to share another picture real quick. So can you see this one? Yeah, okay. So this was that deuterium molecules in superposition act as slits for a classic quantum experiment. So it's a very interesting article, and it's a very big success actually for them. And I would like to share the last one, which is that panorama wheel. I hope I can find it. Okay, so this is it. So this is in the background of that concert. So, and that was that panorama wheel. And the sweet scent that I got, I don't know what was that about, maybe some leftover from some candy that was so there. I don't know, but I got that as well. So anyway, so I'm done. I think I took a lot of time, too much time.
That's okay. Erica, just as an overview, what are you trained in any way? Do you use any method, or is it something of your own?
No, I've started. I started, so you can call it self-training, but I started to do a target pretty much every single day almost every single day since 2013, 14, and I started as just playing around on a very small sheet of paper, just a quick one, 5-minute one. What can I perceive? Then I elaborated based on my own observations of what I would perceive and was it incorrect or correct. and then I elaborated on a bit larger sheet of paper, but not not much anyway. And but there's a process which I try to use the basics that are almost in every method there, which is try to identify and sense temperature, color, sound. Sometimes when you put down the number or ID, it just hits you, just like I think it was Aneta, correct? Did she mention? It just hits you right away, and you can see somebody's just staring at you, or it's a sensation, you know. So it's just yeah. So since 2013-14, I've just trained myself, I guess, observed myself, and I still keep doing it.
Excellent, and thanks for sharing that, Erica.
Welcome.
Okay, next up with their hand up is Deborah.
Hi there. So I'm going to try to go on video, and I've never done the screen share. So let's see. Daz, I wonder if you could share my stuff, because I don't know how to do this.
Bear with me a sec while I go back in and try to find it. Ah, yeah, I got it. Okay.
So we could just start at the top and scroll down.
I think
So
I created this for you.
you did.
Yeah.
So there's my second ideogram. My first ideogram I put last because it went straight to the volcano, and I wanted to do something different. So this ideogram I intentionalized, and I asked to see a person in the news. And the ideogram looks like a guy's head. And as I began to probe the ideogram, I started to see, and you can scroll down now through stage 2. Yeah.
Yeah, the images aren't coming up for some reason.
Oh, well, what happens is the ideogram sort of takes me through the scene. Maybe we should go back to the ideogram then.
Even that's not showing now. Let me start.
Wow.
That's a bit strange.
Well, this is me in electronics. I was talking to Preston Dennett about this, and that's why I'm scared to try and go to my screen. And I heard rumbling, and I heard crowds, and I got the impression that I was at a big car race. And the circles in the ideogram are the life forms, and one of them is a woman. The first circle, the big circle there, that's the head of the driver. And then the smaller circle off to the side, this is a woman. And inside that circle is another circle, and that is a baby that she's holding. And so I got curious, and I wasn't sure if there is car racing in November. And I looked to see what kind of car races there were going on in the world. And I found a car race in Phoenix, a big championship on November 7th. And I looked for a driver with a wife with a new baby. And I found this one driver with a blonde wife and a baby. But his car wasn't number 5. And I had in the visuals, it's really interesting. I saw the side of a car, and I just knew there was a 5 on it. Like the 5 was like a part of the paint. Like I could feel the 5 on the fender of the car raised up from the paint of it. And so I found the driver in that race in Phoenix. It was a NASCAR championship, and his name is Kyle something. And he also has a blonde wife, but he had the number 5 car. And it's really interesting because I found a picture in Google with his car with a red 5 and a blue 5. And I had seen the 5 in the visual as like a light purple, a mauve, like almost like an after shot of the red and the blue together. So I feel like I got kind of a hit, and I can't figure out why I saw a car race. Like, that's just weird. But then I'll just give you a bit of a preview. My viewing for December has another car race, and I'm starting to get an idea of what this is about. But this is my first installment of the car race series of viewings. And there's a reason why I'm seeing a car race, and it doesn't really have to do with the car race, I believe. It has to do with the atmosphere and the kind of the spiritual aspect of it. And see, I had seen the car crash. I saw a big crash, and fortunately, and I mean, I automatically started praying for the driver. I don't know what this crash was about. I don't know if there was a crash in the race. I tried to look, but I didn't find one. So that part of it wasn't so much of a hit, the crash part, but elements of it, like the number of the car and the fact that there was a race and stuff. So we can go back to the ideogram now, back up a little bit. This is the second ideogram. So the car race is kind of both a bit of a hit and a miss, but I think it was more, at least I was a bit on target for the future of something that's not like a bomb exploding, which was kind of nice for a change. So then I did this third ideogram, and I asked to see something more political. And if you look at the ideogram, let's look at it for a second, because it's really cool looking.
This one here, Rose?
Yeah, this
Deborah?
one here. It looks like a table with 2 chairs. And then there's a person with his head down on the table, and the other person is sitting in the second chair, sort of leaning over the other person. So it's like a little office scene. And as I started to probe the ideogram, it took me on a little trip, and I went to an airport where I had a good aerial view above the airport, with the planes on the ground and everything. And then I'm taking off in the plane, and I'm flying up over some bodies of water. And then I'm landing in another country, and I'm coming up to this building. And in the ideogram, you see the first arch of the chair is also, this first arch is also the arch of a very hard stony structure. And it's an arched structure, looks very much like a church. So I found this was possibly a political religious meeting in an old style church made with stone and arches. So I figured it was like a state church of some kind, like the old kind, like a Roman Catholic or Anglican, not one of the more modern churches. So someone has gone to visit someone in this state church kind of political kind of setting. And I probed the life form, the circles, and there was a lot of anguish of the one with its head down on the desk. And indeed, the ideogram shows a desk, and the second arch of the chair is plush like a chair, and I could feel the chair. It's really kind of cool. So, and the 2 individuals, the one is in anguish and very upset, has his head down on the desk, and the other leaning over is angry. And looking in the news, I found an article about a Canadian delegation that is going to be going to visit the Pope in December. So this wasn't for November, but in December, the Pope is going to be getting a visit from a delegation from Canada to discuss the residential schools and the bodies that have been found. And I'm starting to get choked up when I think about this because it's horrible. And they're going to be demanding an apology from the Pope. And I'm not sure if this scene has anything to do with this story, but it seems amenable to that kind of thing. So that's the best confirmation I could find for that ideogram. And then this last one, this is the first one, and I didn't specify anything. What will the news be? And wham, I just went straight to La Palma. And this is like a guided tour of the island. It's really funny. I've been watching Bushcraft Bear, so I'm really super front loaded on this. And I mean, right from the start with the ideogram, I'm starting up at the top of the, hill, and there's this cliff going down beside me, and there's rocks on it, and there's a structure there, which is, I think, the restaurant that Bushcraft Bear is always hanging out around as he does his videos. There's the structure looking out of the valley, and then the ideogram takes me, and I have an overview of the valley with the structures that are on top of the mountains. There's a lot of these kind of greenhouses and flat structures, and so I've got that is all in there. And then I go down to the beach, and I'm at the beach with the people, and there was a restaurant, and I could hear some music. And then I heard one of the boats on the harbor, this big red boat with people shouting. And I found a picture of that boat. It's a rescue boat, actually. And then I'm heading up through the lava, and it's like, I feel like it's a river. And I found a YouTube video with the word, rivers of lava. And I headed up, the ideogram is taking me right up into the volcano where all the ash and the sulfur, and I'm like flying around in it. If you go back up to the ideogram, you can really see that part of it, like in the middle there, where that long line goes up and the squiggles here, that's the volcano and the plume and all the activity in there. And then those jagged lines and all of that flowing down from the volcano, that's the lava. And then I've got the very final part of the ideogram is this energetic, like a spiritual flourish upward. And it's a very energetic movement of the volcano. So there were, right after this ideogram, within a few days, there were an increased number and strength of earthquakes. And then the volcano has gone quiet for a couple of weeks. But again, last few days, there were a burst of number and strength of the earthquakes. So I think this is a cyclical thing, and I'm seeing the energy of the volcano. Yeah, and here's the drawings. Here's the beach with the restaurant. And then I went into the town as well, and I was kind of walking around in the town, and it's not small. And there is the volcano itself and the boat, the red boat with the people shouting. So these were kind of fun ideograms. This is something brand new to me, and the way the ideograms are drawing out a story, this is all new, and I'm just kind of following it. And my one for December, I did two. One's another car race, but the second one is really, really wild. So stay tuned. But I'm learning from the ideograms, and they're just taking me where they're taking me. So thanks for listening.
Thanks for sharing, Deborah. Great stuff. I think that's it for the hands up. Naeem, I think you had your hand up earlier. Did you want to say anything or show anything? Or am I putting you on
Yeah,
the
I was
spot
going
now?
to show something. I just figured I let the people who sent in to you do their thing first.
Go for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to show this one that was okay. One second here. Okay. I'm gonna have to quit and come back in maybe. Let me see if this works. Can you see my screen or?
Yes, it's just loading in now.
So this was sorry. Yeah, this was some data that we did for the in October. The top part is my drawings there, and this one is interesting because me and Edward both had some overlapping data. Aircraft flying over like an intense military action, followed by explosions. So it was kind of like seeing that was like, oh, that doesn't look good. But it ended up Iran did a huge war game off the Gulf of Oman. So that was an interesting one. And I had some other data there, missiles being launched off a shoreline, wartime type action. So it's always interesting when there's multiple viewers like collaborating on something. So I thought I'd just share that one. Me and you also had the little volcano, some very similar data on the volcano.
Excellent, great stuff. Thanks for sharing, everyone. So, yeah, how did you all feel about doing that? Was it a good experience for you? Okay, well,
I'm starting to get more comfortable with it. Like I said, at first it was really overwhelming. I would touch the ideogram and it was like I would just get blown off my feet. So much hitting me. I didn't know what to do with it. It just freaks me out. But I'm starting to calm down and get more comfortable with it and get a better method. So, yeah.
Excellent. It's hard, it's kind of daunting at first because you are working quite front loaded, because we are looking at the news and stuff, and of course we're all exposed to thousands of news sources every day with Facebook and everything else. So yeah, it's quite a daunting thing to do. But some of you guys have already done December, and we got, how many have I got in the folder for December? Let me have a look here for a second. It's too late for anyone else now because we're part of the way through December. But in the end, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 people that participate for December as well. So, because of Christmas, we won't be doing any more before then. But I guess we can have a good review in January to see what people got with those ones. And we'll probably do another one in January. But because I'm getting lots of comments off people behind the scenes and stuff on this, I think we'll tighten it up moving ahead in January, in that we'll probably set the queue for the targets in that it has to be global news, and for it to qualify as global news, it will maybe have to have 3 news sources from one from 3 different countries to show that it's actually news that's gone global. Because otherwise, it's some of the skeptics are saying some of these events, it's too easy to retrofit your data to news. So we'll do something like that.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
Yeah, just to help out with with the people that are saying, well, you could just be matching any news event to your data to get it to fit. So let's try to tighten up the entire protocol for it, I think, and so we'll only match data with feedback of news events that have got at least 3 sources in different countries of the world, so showing that it's truly global news or something. But yeah, great work, everyone, and it's not as easy as people think, putting your work out there for other people to critique and look how you are putting yourself out there for everyone to look inside you as a person. So well done for that. Well done for sharing.
Yes. For the next month, as you said, tighten up the scope. Would that be possible for you to, when you define the target, to actually include that in the description itself? I know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not that of a big deal, but I'm really I would
Yep.
like to emphasize the intent, so that the intent is there, and
Yes. Yeah.
so I could, because I'm doing it in blind. I'm de-identifying everything, so that's easier for me. But
Yes.
the
Yeah.
intent is
No worries.
important. Thank
Yeah.
you.
We'll do that for onwards. Heather's got her hands up. If you want to go next, Heather, with something.
Yes, I was just curious as to whether you yourself did one for November and what you came up with.
I did. I didn't show it though because I put mine on Facebook. I didn't want to. I didn't want to take anything away from you guys, but I can if you want me to.
Yes, I'd like to.
Okay, let me find them here a sec.
Yeah, Daz, while you're looking for that, I had a question. Do you like do one ideogram per news event now? As like, it seems like you were really clocking through these things on a pretty rapid basis. You literally had like 10 or, a whole bunch of news items.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I literally do a page or two per news thing, and I kind of have an idea in my head. Oh, I've got to do a top global news, I've got to do a top financial news, and then my subscribers want to know what Bitcoin's doing, so I got to look at Bitcoin and see what that's doing. So I have these kind of in my head of what I got to look at, and then I'll do those three, and then I think to myself, well, that's not a lot. So and then I'll do one and it'll say more top global news, and I'll try to get more top global news.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm trying to fit so much into an RV session, essentially almost 5 to 10 different targets. I'm really minimizing it and only spending.
In one sitting?
Yeah. You've seen the RV
Oh,
session, haven't you?
I have, yeah. But I didn't realize you were like doing like 10 at a time.
Yeah. On this month, I didn't like the first RV I did, so I went back. For November, I should say, I went back and I think I did it again. If that was November or December, I can't remember. Let me see what I can open up here. And not only that as well, I'll show you. It's easier if I show you it. So here's mine here now. Here's my RV session, I should say. So I always do a type summary. It just makes it easier for the people in crypto viewing if they want to share, details of my RV, because like some of you guys I've seen tonight, my handwriting's not that legible anyway. So a type summary is always good for that kind of thing. So there's type summary there for the first session. And so there's a cloud-like target event, a second event there, a third event there, fourth with Bitcoin, second most top global news. That's another one there. And then I had the car thing on the end. So what's that, 6 or 7 different ones on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And literally it's just, let's make it smaller here. It's literally a page, roughly a page for each, because I know I'm doing multiple targets in one RV session. I am getting scant information really. If this was a proper operational RV session, I'd be wanting to get 20 pages just on one single aspect alone.
Right.
So yeah, it's like on that first event there. Actually, that first event is the kind of the volcano event. There's probably like 5 pages on that one event alone. And then, because I knew I was done 5 pages there, I literally cued myself with it's time to move on there at the top. So that's why I wrote move on. It was like, I can't do any more on the volcano. I'm running out of time here. I got to move on kind of thing. Which then got me to get this thing about some kind of political leader type situation. I don't think that one came true this month. Or I couldn't find a global news source for it with more than 3 sources. Then another top news thing I had to look at here, and I couldn't find anything on this one as well. I felt that this was a big detonation type event. So that's 2 that I couldn't confirm straight off there. Then there was this. Oh no, this is the same event still. Yeah, this is the same event. So 3 pages on that one. Then I went to Bitcoin. Tried to get Bitcoin. Then second most top global news, because I thought I'd better get some more. That was a USA situation thing there. some kind of Twitter storm thing, and I don't think that anything come on that one. Then this one, right at the end, I had a strong visual of a car being engulfed by clouds and debris. And I stopped it there with a sad face because it was just too much destruction stuff. So that's why I said here I'm going to come back in a couple of days and do it. So this was the second session I did, and a couple of days later. And again, type summary with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different things in this one. Just a general news thing here. And something to do with a person, Biden or something. Looks like a weather event thing here. I don't think I found anything. Maybe I didn't even know of that one, actually. I don't even remember looking for a news source for that one.
So you're responsible to find your own verification, it seems.
Yeah, sometimes people send me stuff, because this goes out to our patrons, and our patrons on our website say, "Oh, look, you did this. Here's some feedback news for you," and they send it to us. And then at the end of the month, if I don't get that, or if I don't see anything that I've seen in the month and think that sounds familiar, did I RV that? I will then do a search at the end of the month in Google News. I'll give myself the time window of 1 minute to find 3 global news sources for the same news item that matches some of my keywords in my data. And if I don't find that within a minute, 3 different news sources for the same thing, I abandon it and say, okay, well, that obviously was a miss for this month.
You've got quite a methodology going there.
Well, yeah, I mean, bearing in mind, I've been doing this for 10 years because we started off doing news prediction stuff with Courtney Brown probably about 10 years ago. And then we picked it back up 4 years ago when we started crypto viewing. We've been doing it, every month for 4 years now.
So what's the concept of finding 3 sources? What's all that about?
It's just something I've recently come up with because not only am I'm getting criticism, but crypto viewing getting criticism, and even what we've been doing publicly within Facebook, been getting some criticism of people. Whereas they're saying, oh, you like when we all got the La Palma volcano, we got it quite strongly, and there hasn't been a volcano in the news for months and months and months. But still, you get these critics saying, "Oh yeah, but you get volcano events happening around the world every month," and you do small events, but they don't become global news. So now to actually quantify it and try to stop, to tighten up the protocol really and stop the skeptics, I think it's good that that I or maybe even we and others get into the process of saying, okay, there's at least 3 sources from around the world here talking about the same news event. So it's not like it's not global news. It is actually identified as global news. Rather than, one source from, I don't know, Austin, Texas, and nothing else confirmable of an event kind of thing.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks.
Yeah. So this is just crypto news and stuff. So that's generally how I do my RV. But the hits I had this month, I would say, are these. I had this one for the AI because I had all this stuff about an AI coming out. I think I put a better target that I just missed for it by 2 days on the Facebook site rather than this one. But it could have been this one because this one does talk more about the weapon system, AI being used as a weapon system, and the one I felt was a better fit didn't. And there is this one with my car, and this something else I've noticed as well, and you guys might notice this as you go along. The news that's more relevant and local to you, sometimes you in your location, sometimes come through a bit stronger in your RV sessions. Of course, this was the terrorist attack that happened in the UK in November, of the car that blew itself up outside the hospital. So I think that's why that was quite a strong visual for me this month, because it was, because it's UK based and it put us on a massive terror alert again. And then this strange one, like last month, I've never had a mammoth session in an RV before, and you just get the word mammoth and about a body or a physical thing, a lost piece of a creature, and then to have and this was really global news. It was on like 10 different news sources. I got 4 listed here. About them finding that mammoth tusk at the bottom of the ocean and then wondering how it got there. And yeah, I did last month. I said there would be a surprise drop, a flash drop, and the Dow Jones tumbled 900 points, and it was the worst day of the year. I think it lost something like 2 billion or something in one day. And again, I've had skeptics say to me, "Oh, well, these markets go up and down every day." But when you get global news saying this is the worst day of the year, and you've done a target and you're looking for that kind of top financial news, I think you can classify that. That's pretty much a hit, I think.
Yeah.
And again, this on the volcano, and I class this as a hit for it because I specifically did, and I've never had this before, had these global views looking like a satellite down from Earth, and the only images for the feedback for this volcano were satellite images from space at the cloud system. So that was my ones.
Yeah, that mammoth tusk thing was pretty impressive too.
Yeah, that's
so unusual.
That's out of nowhere, yeah. And you'll find that if you get like the weird things in an RV station, you're there saying to yourself, "Where did this come from?" And I was the same because when I do in the RV station, I was like, "Well, I'm sorry guys, but I got a mammoth tusk. I don't know what this is to do with the news next month." And it comes out, and you, yeah, it's very strange how it works. But you all did very good. Got a message from Rich here. That's probably in the chat window. Does anyone else want to share any news predictions, or do we just want to have a general chat for the remaining time?
Are we going to discuss the December predictions at all?
Of what you got? Yeah, if you want to. Did you want to?
Yeah.
Go for it then.
All right, so I'll try to be quick.
Yep.
I have a man who is inside a huge factory type building. He's all alone. He crawls inside of a chamber, which when I probe it seems to be a space rocket. He goes inside and he gets stuck with his feet, or that his feet are missing. And he's shouting and shouting for a long time. There's nobody there. There's nobody anywhere near this site. And just the feeling of loneliness is something I have never felt before, how lonely this man can feel. There's nobody else there. I also see him, it's also shown that it is a manned space flight to Mars. The thing is, RV was very clear. It is a manned flight with one man inside of the craft. However, they might not reveal that to the public. So if we see this craft going to Mars, there would be a man inside, even if they don't tell us about him. I saw the Mars landscape very clearly. This man is an engineer. He's a PhD. He's doing repairs on this device and get stuck. I see a huge crater, and I was sure it was bigger than the biggest crater that we have on Earth, which is somewhere in the United States, much bigger than that. This device is going to fly directly above the center of the crater, and it ends up down on the bottom center of the crater, and there's development of black smoke. So what all of this seems to indicate is some kind of device being sent to Mars and just ending up inside of the crater. And there's this interesting twist that there's the man inside, whether we know about him or not. I kind of hesitate to say it because it's so gruesome, but it just seemed like he's consumed by fire in the end. I went through all kinds of emotions with this one. It was horrible. But anyway, this one is very, very science. It's not military based. All of this is not military. None of this is weapons. There's a very strong radioactive nuclear component. I even saw the radioactive warning symbol sign. This thing is powered in part by a radioactive source, which fuels it with some electrical power. However, the thrusters under the rocket, they are hydrogen fuel powered. And when this rocket goes up in this air, it emits this white cold cloud around it. There's a lot more detail in my report, but so it centers around this device, the repairs being made, Mars very clearly indicated, and this one man who might actually, either that he went there when he shouldn't nobody really knows he is there, or that it's a secret manned flight. So that's that.
That's definitely something to look out for then. So you're thinking it might be someone, it could possibly be something like a stowaway type situation.
Could be, but mainly if I had to guess, now it's wrong to use logic to guess and fill in the gaps, because then it's not RV anymore. If I don't know something, I just leave it out. I would guess that he was clearly doing repairs on the inside.
Okay.
So it could be that he's forgotten about, or I just want to see the feedback, then I'll know.
All right, then. Well, that's definitely one for us all to keep an eye out for in the news. Anyone else want to share any December stuff, or should we move on to some other stuff? Maybe get Jimmy to share his experience he was discussing earlier. Looks like you're up then, Jimmy. Do you want to share some of your, was it your near-death experience you had?
Sure, how I got all into this. I've never spoken publicly about this. What happened was I live in upstate New York, married. At that time, my child was about 3 years old. What I know now to be the signal line. Okay, what happened was I was raking the lawn. Before this date, I've never had any psychic experiences. Nothing. I'm just a regular blue collar guy. Worked in a machine shop. Was in rock bands. Just a regular guy. Just nothing unusual about me at all. Nothing special. I'm raking my lawn. I stop in the middle of raking my lawn. I got weird impressions for the first time in my life about my roof. I don't know. There was nothing wrong with my roof. I got weird impressions about it, bad feelings. I walked in the house. I thought I was sick. I walked in my house. I sat down, told my wife. She said, "What's wrong?" I said, I don't know. I got a bad feeling about our roof." And she says, "Well, what's wrong with our roof?" I said, I don't know. Had this weird thought in my head that we need a roof. And she says, "Well, we can't afford a roof. We got a kid now who's 3. We got no extra money." I said, I know. It's really weird. I said, it won't go away, this feeling. So I sat down. I'm thinking, I don't know why I'm even thinking this way, because this is very unusual for me. I looked down at a little local paper that comes once a week, and it had a roofer name on it. It was called DNR Roofing. And I looked at it, and I had another weird feeling, which I know now is a signal line. I told my wife, I said, call this guy. And she said, "For what?" I said, "We're going to need a new roof." And she said, I don't know why I want to call him. We have no money. I said, "Listen, there's something weird going on. Just call this guy." And that was on a Saturday. Tuesday, she called him. The roofer said, "They have a leak." And we said, "No." So at that time, I was still working in the machine shop. I get a call Thursday. He came up Thursday night to the house. He came up and he looked. I was at work. He told my wife, I don't understand. Why do you want a roof? You don't need one." And my wife said, "Well, I don't know. My husband said to get an estimate. It was free." And he had a particular shingle he liked. He said he saw it. And he said, "Well, let me call him, because people don't get new roofs unless they need a roof." So he called me and he says, "Hey, this is Rick. I'm at your house. I'm confused about why you want a roof. You don't need one." And I said, "I don't know." I said, "I had this strange experience that I'm going to be needing a roof. I don't know." I said, "Listen, I still feel weird about this roof." I said, "This is why I checked it out. You don't need one. Why would you spend $3,500 when you don't need one? It's good for another 5 or 8 years." And he says to me, "Do you really want me to give you an estimate?" And I said, "Yes." And I said, "But I want an estimate with these architectural shingles." I said, "That's what I see my house with." And he says, "Okay." That was Thursday. So, and he said, "Give me a few days. I'll give you a typed up, computerized, estimate." I said, "Great." So I get home from work and I said, my wife says to me, "This is crazy. Why are we looking for a roof? We can't afford one." And it was just really odd, out of the usual. That was Thursday. Friday came, nothing happened. Saturday came, nothing happened. Sunday morning, I woke up at 6 in the morning, ill. I've never felt this way before. I mean, it was the worst feeling I ever had in my life. I thought I was dying. I thought, I'm going to have to go to the hospital. I don't know what's wrong with me. I feel ill, sick, weird in my head, everything. At 4:15 that afternoon, an F3 tornado hit my home. and I needed a roof. It tore my roof off, and I don't want to get into all the details of the weirder stuff that went on during it, but I actually had a near death experience for about 5, 8 minutes where I didn't feel, hear anything. I went off somewhere. I met my grandmother who's deceased. She was telling me information about future, that I had to go through this, and that don't worry, you're going to get all the things you want in your house. You and your wife are talking about. They're all coming true. And in the meantime, you have to remember now, the tornado hit my home, tore my roof off. I had a tree go through my house. So I'm sitting in the living room with the windows all broken, a tree through my house. My wife is screaming, my daughter's crying, and I'm sitting there and I feel effing great. I didn't feel nothing. I was in a world of calmness, peace, and my grandmother, who's deceased, is talking to me. I can hear her voice, smell her perfume. She's telling me, Jimmy, don't worry about nothing. Everything's going to work out. You're going to get a roof. You're going to get siding. You're getting new windows. You're getting everything you wanted. It's had to happen for you. And I'm like, I think I'm going nuts. I thought I died there. So all of a sudden, after about 8 minutes, I just like popped out of it. And, all I can see is devastation everywhere in my neighborhood. So I panicked. I went outside. The whole neighborhood was just covered in debris and gas smells, and it was just horrifying. So my wife had a cell phone. She called my father to come pick us up. We had to walk through about a half a mile of debris, just everything. It's devastating. So I forgot about the roof thing. So because I'm so stressed because of the tornado, not having a house now, I get to my father's house and it's all on the news and so rare and stuff, whatever. And I'm feeling weird again about like weird feelings in my gut about certain things. And I've never experienced this before this time date at all. So the next day, which would be a Monday, the roofer calls me on my wife's phone and says, don't tell me your house got hit by the tornado. And I said, yeah. He says, do you need a roof? I said, my roof is missing. And he said, I can't believe this. This is unbelievable. He says, I thought this guy's crazy. He doesn't need a roof. Now he's going to need a roof. I said, I'm going to need a roof, siding, windows, landscaping, a new shed. I said, I'm going to need a new house. And he's like, holy shit. I've never experienced anything. I thought you were nuts, he said. I said, listen, I can't believe this myself. I said, it's just weird. He said, what happened? I said, I don't understand it. It just popped in my head. And I just happened to, what I know now is the signal line to trust it. So after that day in 1998, my life literally changed. I went from being this regular blue collar guitar playing guy who loved sports to having tons, what I don't like to really talk about, but I have to be honest with you, real psychic experiences of weird shit. And that's why I always talk about electronic stuff, because I have issues all the time. Sometimes I go to get a soda and the machine will malfunction. I mean, I'm starting to document it more and more because it's just common now. I got a brand new phone yesterday. It don't work. They don't know what's wrong with it. I have to bring it back. I got to get a new this. I have constant problems with my computers. And eventually what happened was I thought I was going crazy. And I went to the actual medical doctor in town, and I said, I think I'm going crazy. I said, I'm having all these bizarre experiences. He says, I said, I don't do drugs, I don't drink. I don't know what's wrong. And he says, what happened? I'm telling these stories about, I meet somebody, I know that their date of birth. And I started knowing all these weird things. And he says, what happened? I said, I went to the tornado. My house got hit by the tornado. And he said, holy Jesus. He says, well, I want you to see a psychologist. And I said, that's fine. I think I'm nuts. I said, so I went to the psychologist lady and I'm telling her, I said, how do I get rid of all these weird thoughts I'm having? She's like, what? I said, well, I know you had at one time a white car and, you had this weird experience. And I'm like, she's like, what? How did you know this? And I'm like, well, I can tell it. And she's like, what are you talking about? I said, I don't know. Ever since I had this damn tornado hit my house, I'm like psychic now or something. I said, but I don't want to be psychic. How do I get rid of this shit and go back to myself? And she says, well, what else do you know about me? And I said, well, I know that you're a psychologist because you almost got abducted one time. You're in this, you're under an underground parking facility thing. I saw the whole thing. And she says, oh my God. She said, you're right. He says, I don't know what to do. She said, I've never seen a real psychic before. I don't know, she said. And I said, well, can you tell me to go to somebody because I want this to stop. I want to be myself again, which has nothing to do with any of this stuff. And she says, well, I don't know. She says, well, tell me some more stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm done. And I walked out of there thinking, I think I'm just nuts. I said, maybe I died in the tornado and this is the afterlife, I said. And I lived like that for quite a few months. I really thought that all these consistent, bizarre experiences, which a lot of them were witnessed by people. I had so many bizarre experiences that I think this can't be real. This can't be. And then eventually hearing Art Bell's show with remote viewing and stuff, and guys saying that, they're using a psychic signal line and stuff. That's when I said, I got to start looking into this. I can't control what's happening. I literally could look at somebody, shake their hand, hear them talk, and find out information about them. And I didn't want to. It wasn't like I was trying. It just happens all the time. And to this day, I have to admit, it still happens. And, what are you supposed to do? Like, I don't know. I don't claim anything. I meet somebody and next thing I know, I said, how's your grandmother? Did she have like a dark spot right here? And then I find out, oh, she's being treated for cancer, for lung cancer. And I'm like, and they're like, how do you know this? I said, I don't know. I had no clue. It just pops in like signal line in remote viewing. But what's good about remote viewing is the way I learned it from Paul and Angela Ford is that I do feel like I can have some control when it happens. Is that I can sit down calmly and I can eliminate the crazy thoughts that just pop in about, this terrible winter event's going to happen and I'm going to get my generator ready. And I mean, stuff like that does happen and I do pay attention to it, but I feel more normal this way. And that's how I got into remote viewing. And what a funny story is with Dr. May, when I was being tested after Angela's targets, all I hit, my 15-minute meet and greet, that's all it was for. Because, you don't have time for a lot of this crap, just remote view and that's it. That's how he is. He says to me, now, how did you get in remote viewing? And I told him the story and my 15 minutes of his time became almost 3 hours. The guy was fascinated with the story and how everything came true and these other stories I had witnesses and stuff. And that's when he took a real interest in like, okay, well, I'm going to, test you and you just do what you want to do type thing, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then I find myself today, about 5 years into remote viewing, finding that I'm convinced that the psychic signal and the remote viewing signal is the exact same thing. There's no difference in my world. And I really do believe that there is psychics. And I really do that. But I think it's uncontrollable, like I went through. I don't think it's a system of like sitting down and knowing what works. I know when I have a good remote viewing session, I feel a certain way. I physically feel like a little bit of adrenaline, a little bit of excitement. And that's when I know, like when I did the target the other day, when I hit the football game, I knew when I got that number, as soon as I did the first ideogram, I felt physically like, wow, I know it. I guess is it. And I just didn't think like, Dr. May and Angela taught me and wrote out everything. And I got, I hit the target. But I usually don't talk about the other stuff because, I'm just not comfortable with it because it sounds so unusual, and especially in my world, as having an older brother and 2 sisters that don't talk about any of this stuff. They think I'm crazy, and they think this is nuts. This is, there's something wrong with you. But I can literally, at times, when that signal line comes in, you just know. I mean, the other night, I was just getting a soda at the store, not planning on buying a scratch off, a lottery ticket, standing in line, all of a sudden, I saw the color green. And I said to the guy, hey, could you give me that green $5 scratch off? Okay, sure. I didn't go in there to buy one. Won $15. That stuff, I'm convinced if you pay attention, if you train yourself to pay attention to the little small things that pop in, that is the signal line. It may not be a lot of information, but there's something to it. I don't quite understand, I'm not into the spiritual stuff or everything else, but there is something to it. And I'm convinced, and the more I've done this is the more confidence I'm getting in this. And that's the first time I ever shared this. And I don't care what people think, about if this is crazy or what, no matter. I've got literally dozens of witnesses have experienced or been around me when odd anomalies have happened. And it's not by me trying it, it just happens. So, and that's why I've done so much recently with John Kuth at the, Rhine regarding electrical interference stuff. I'm not trying to crash my computer system during something. I'm not trying to the new phone I just spent a fortune on break it. I don't know why it happens. All I can think of is that there's so much psychic energy or something or something that around us. Like Dr. May said, he thinks it's a waveform of information and that people are like antennas. And then you respond to it if you want to. And for some reason, to me, it happened. And now being a musician, I'm used to that signal, that little note coming in. I know what it's about. I can either act on it or put it aside and not act on it. And that's the deja vu. I should have done this. I was thinking of that type thing. And, it's just life is a mystery and remote viewing is a mystery. It's odd. It's strange. But there's something, no doubt, to this, Paul, this phenomenon. I'm convinced of it. And, that's my story. And it's true. Some of it's funny. Some of it's strange. And I'm no expert. I'm just a regular guy. To be honest with you, I wish it never happened. I fell ill for months because of the tornado, had terrible anxiety and panic attacks and going to this doctor and that doctor. And, finally I just said, I'm just going to live with it. I'm going to try remote viewing to help me calm down and, and do it. And I find that it does lead you in a right, proper, good direction in life when you pay attention and do it. And that's my story.
Thanks for sharing that, Jimmy. That was
Jimmy,
great
that was
fun.
an amazing story. Are you on the remote viewing Discord? Because I think you should join, because there's lots of people who've had weird ass experiences like you and stumbled across remote viewing and found that it helps make some sense. So come say hi on the Discord.
Yeah.
Right. It makes sense. It makes you feel normal.
Post the link, David. Yeah.
Yeah. If I didn't do remote viewing, it wouldn't I would feel stressed all the time and nervous and not in control. I find when I do remote viewing, even if it's just, I always call it a hobby, it's just a fun hobby, I feel better. I feel more like myself before all this 1998 event happened. And, Angela, of course, she's a psychic and she's just more into it than I am. Like she has no problem talking about channeling and all kinds of. In my world, this stuff is kind of weird and wacky. But apparently I can do what she said, and I have been lucky with her. I've done some operational stuff. I can't talk about what she said, but it's not. I'm trying to brag. It's just I don't understand. Like, why me? I'm just a guy who.
Hey, Jimmy, I put the link to the Discord in the text chat. I don't know.
Okay.
Can you get it there?
Yeah. Yes.
Cool.
Thank you. I'll check
come introduce yourself in chat. You're not alone.
Yeah.
Weird things happen to it.
For those guys that don't know, a lot of us after the Dash Chat's finished on a Friday, we do go to the Discord channel and we usually have a kind of almost like a after party fun chat as well for 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 hours sometimes.
Is it like RV therapy?
It is a bit like that. It's
you joke.
Yeah, sometimes after a few drinks it can get a bit boisterous, but it's fun.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good place, and Jamie, you might like it because it's a good place to blow off some steam and not worry about anything. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Des.
Thanks for sharing. That's great. Vix had their hand up for a while. Would you like to share something?
Oh yeah, hi everybody. Hi Jimmy. Thank you for sharing your story. I wonder if you've ever heard of IANS, the International Association for Near-Death Studies. Okay, so that might be like a really, I don't know, it might interest you to look into that. They have a lot of resources, a lot of videos. I'm like kind of like a little bit obsessed with near-death experiences, and like I've heard tons of experiences, tons of accounts, and like I definitely don't think you're crazy at all. A lot of people, when they have near-death experiences, they have what are called after effects, which like amplifies the sorts of things that you're talking about, like psychic abilities and empathy, or I'm sorry, that's not the right word, like knowing how other people are feeling. The same thing with the electronic thing, like that. All of these are like very common after effects. So I just wanted to go ahead and put that out there. I'll also write it in the chat. It might be like a cool thing to look into, because they also have conferences with a lot of NDEers. Maybe you could link up with some of them and, you know, kind of share your experience with people who understand like where you're coming from. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thanks, Vic. Thanks for sharing that. That's great as well. Great information. If you guys notice, I put in a link to a new project from Henny into the chat as well that you should look at. I wonder if we could maybe put her on the spot to get her to spend a couple minutes telling us a bit about the project. Would that be okay?
Okay, I managed to find the unmute button.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but it's a good project, so let's get it out there.
It was actually an interesting. Unlike the previous two that we had, it was a bit of a mixed bag in terms of sessions. Don is here. He was one of the viewers. Hi, Don. Did you like the video? So what we were like, this was, I think, one of our first quite big projects. We have been doing it for like more than 5 months now, 2 of which was me analyzing and putting the stuff together. But overall, this was about Tesla and one of his patents that he patented in 1901. It was a device to collect radiant energy from what he calls the ether. And there was a story going around on the internet about the potential, or about him probably having developed this technology into an operative technology, like something which has gone past the research and development phase. And it was reported in several accounts, written accounts and interviews, that some people have seen a technology, a car that was operated with an energy source that was based on this patent. So the project was basically just going after this. One of the tasking was the patent itself. That was actually the best session overall in terms of the viewers connecting to the target. One target was basically looking at the car itself, whether it existed or not, if it did, how did it look. It was said to be a fierce arrow. And the second target was the energy source. I wanted to see whether the energy source of the system would bring similar data to the patent itself. And the fourth was just a fun and absolutely non-verifiable target about where he got his inspiration from. Because I've read several stories about him having similar to what I would understand as like future flashes or some form of psychic stuff. Like he had a really weird mind in terms of how he thought, how he solved problems. So I was curious about what happens if I task something like that. Those sessions were like exciting but extremely hard to understand. I'm not sure how far should I go into it, because I don't really like, if we have a video out and we have I think about 50 pages of analysis out if you want to get into the details.
Well, let us all have a look at it. And what I'll do is, if you're okay with it, I'll share the link as well on the Facebook pages and stuff. And maybe when we get back in the new year, if you're up for it, you and the team maybe come along and talk a bit more about it on one of the Friday chats or something.
Yeah, I think like viewing wise, the peeps that were doing the target, they said that it was interesting because we have now come to the conclusion that probably the car did not exist. So they were like, okay, now we know what happens when we are tasking something that did not exist. What does the viewer do when the target is missing? So there were like many displacements, and I know there is not a consensus because some data was showing a car, but about 50-50 of the viewers were going pro and against. So there is a chance that there was no car.
Excellent. Yeah, I look forward to reading that in full. As I said, I'll post it on the Facebook groups as well. And because I know you messaged me about the project, but when you do these projects, feel free to promote them on any of the Facebook groups that I'm involved with.
I was about to, but I was just waiting for the okay, the green button from all the viewers, because they have not everyone said yet, okay, it can go out. So I'm not sharing it publicly until they say it can go out.
Okay, excellent. Thanks for that. Don, you got your hand up? You want to say something? Go with something? You're on mute at the moment.
Yeah, this is regarding something that Paul Smith put up just recently. It was a review of an experiment I guess he had done with his friend. Actually, the video was kind of like a chat session with his friend. And in this video, he was talking about this experiment. I think we've all heard about this, where remote viewing affects random number generators. You heard about this, right? Okay, so I heard about it too. Basically, just for people who don't know what's going on, there are devices that you can buy that will generate a random string of zeros and ones, and this is not tied to a computer algorithm or anything. It actually has some sort of electronics, and the values of the zeros and ones are basically generated at the quantum level. So this device can be hooked up to something that will plot the data. And, there's this center line there, and, you've got your ones going above and your zeros going below. And if the data is sort of like random in the way that we would expect it, it's all going to hover around this line. But when they did these sessions with the remote viewers, the data skewed downward in a way that could not really, how do you describe this thing? It's not natural. And so the takeaway was that they were affecting events at the quantum level. Now, I took a hold of that information and I was like thinking, okay, my mother used to say, if you pray, good things will happen. All right. So that's like one data point. I'm throwing that in the bag. Another data point. How many times have I been this close to being in a serious car accident 1 second before or later, and I would have been involved in the accident? But that 1 second, that one additional, this is like almost random. It's like a random thing. So I'm like thinking to myself, you know what? This stuff about the people who want to pray, or if you want to think of it as just intending that keep my family safe, they may actually be doing some good for themselves, because they might be affecting stuff at such a low level that it starts to, what's the word, synchronicity? It raises up where it actually affects your reality now. How many times these people who have been remote viewers and whatever, they talk about these amazing synchronicities. I certainly have had them. I know you have. Jimmy had. So there's something here. I don't know what to make of it completely, but I thought I would mention this because it seems important.
Yeah, definitely, Don. There's loads of instances of this, self-healing as well. Placebo effect. That could be another quantum effect that you're putting out yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely something there, and I've also done the same test. I only did it once because it wasn't my machine. It was Andrew Usher's, a remote viewer trained by Paul Smith here in the UK. He had a random generator up in Scotland, several hundred miles from me. And whilst doing an RV session, we did a test on that, and I managed to make it go non-random for several minutes whilst we were doing the RV session.
Okay, so I mean, this is really amazing. I mean, I'm not sure where this is headed, but all I know is this is important. There's something to this.
Yep.
Let's see what happens next.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? The thing is, I tried buying one of those machines since. I can't find one at the moment to buy. I think the company that I wanted to get one from is the same place where Sasha, I don't know if you saw Sasha's Magic Light. They used to produce them. I think they call them Silotrons. But yeah, they don't do them anymore. But I think Sasha's Light might have some kind of quantum randomness generator in it.
Yes, it does actually. Yeah, it has a. Yes, I was going to start explaining how it works, but I'm like, that doesn't matter. Yes, it does, and the company name is Sileron.
Yeah.
But I did contact them directly, and so they no longer sell their units. But if I remember correctly, they did give me links to other similar products. So
okay. Oh yeah, if you could share those, I'd be looking to get one of those if possible.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go through my emails and then I'll share it. Maybe on the Discord or something.
Yeah.
And Don, you may be interested in the book The Intention Experiments. I forget the author, but basically it's a book about all these experiments that have been done regarding intentions. And so there's several studies have been done on the power of prayer. And basically what they've come to realize is that there is a power to prayer, that it has a statistical healing advantage over a control group that's not prayed for.
Now that right there is really interesting.
Well, the interesting thing too is that in the study, it did not matter who you prayed to. If you prayed to Allah, Christ, Buddha, the tree next door, whatever, the effect was the same. So it seemed to be independent, obviously, of any deity or any mental construct of one.
According to
it just worked independently.
Okay, according to Paul Smith, what you're doing is let me get this right. You're organizing events at the quantum level that would normally be random, but now are not. You're organizing them. That is what the effect is.
Yeah, I could definitely see there being, I mean, it kind of gets into the whole realm of like manifestation and law of attraction.
Yeah.
And I do think that we do have an impact. Obviously, we can easily impact the micro level, like the quantum, it seems, and that does seem to have an impact at the macro level. But it's also hard to suss out, right? Because you made the statement about all the accidents that you almost missed.
Yeah.
Well, is that survivorship bias, where you don't think about the ones that you didn't miss? Like it was going to happen one way or another. You were going to have an accident or not. So I mean, it gets into such a complexity that it's hard to scientifically kind of suss out.
Okay, Rich, I got to mention this. There was a time where I just missed an accident by, I don't know, a few seconds. Just before I left the house, the phone rang. I went to the phone. Instead of going to the door, I went to the phone, picked up the phone, and nobody was there.
Interesting. Yep.
What just happened?
Listen, from a materialist point of view, probably just a random thing, but who knows, maybe some convergence of timelines, or you picked up the phone call that they thought about but didn't do.
Yeah.
Daz, if you have 1 minute, I can tell you a story I had 8 witnesses to. It's almost like this story of Don. This is a true story. I'm not making this up. My wife was in back of me. I was in my truck at a stop sign. And my wife was in back of me, and back of her was a guy who's towing a boat, and back of him was somebody else. There was this loud, screeching, crashing noise. My neighbor, who I went to high school with, lived in a house, was watching it when it happened. Apparently, a green car crashed head on into me in my truck and then bounced off it and disappeared. Like, in other words, just kept driving like a hit and run. Now, I didn't hear a noise. there was nothing except just a loud noise and a cloud of dust. My wife jumped out of the car. I was in my truck still, and she was in shock. The guy in back of her was in shock. They're like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Well, fine. What's wrong?" And they said, "Oh my God, you've been in an accident." And I could hear the police car coming, the sirens. And I said, "I've been in an accident." I said, "What are you talking about?" And they said, "Well, we just saw a car hit you head on." And I said, "Nobody hit me." And they said, "Oh my God, there's the green bumper of the car over there." And at the same time, when it happened, the neighbor I went to high school with called the police saying, "Oh my God, there's a terrible accident." He come running out. And they're all standing around my truck. I get out of my truck thinking there's going to be a whole front end damage. And there wasn't a mark on my truck. There was nothing. So I don't know what to think, what happened. I got 5 people saying that you just been in a head-on accident. They all saw there's not even a scratch on my truck. So I get out of my truck thinking, oh no, here's weird shit happening again to me. I don't know what to think. I'm going crazy again. A cop show up. They're like, they see the skid marks. They see the bumper of the guy's car. He's gone, but there's no damage to my truck at all. The cop says, "Well, I don't understand what happened." I said, "Listen, weird shit happens to me all the time. I don't understand either." And they're all looking at me thinking, "We just saw you." The guy, my neighbor, or the guy I went to high school with, said, "Jimmy, I called the police. I called 911. I saw that guy hit you head on, because this is the weirdest effing thing I've ever seen." And I said, "Listen, I don't get it." So I'm starting to feel weird again. I'm like, I'm gonna have a panic attack. So I'm walking away from my truck, just trying to clear my head. The phone rings, my cell phone. It's my mother. She says to me, "Jimmy." I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "Are you okay? Are you feeling okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I said, "Why did you call?" She goes, "I want to know if you're okay." And I'm like, "Oh, this is too much." I hung the phone up, got in my truck. The cop's saying, "Well, I can't write a report because there's no damage to your truck." I don't know what to do. And everybody's standing there with their like, "We don't know what happened. I don't understand it." I get in my truck and I'm like, I must be dead from that tornado. This doesn't make sense. I don't understand any of this. And everybody just looked at each other and said, "I never seen anything like this. Dude, this is crazy." And we all just went our ways. And that's one of many stories. And I'm telling you, it's weird crap when it happens. Some kind of time slip or something. I don't know. I don't get it. True story.
Excellent. Thanks for the sharing that, Jimmy.
How do you think I feel?
That's great stuff. Ellie, did you have something you wanted to share?
Hi, I do. Hi. I wanted to get back to Don's conversations. When I used to teach at that private school in Washington, we had parental permission to do a lot of quote unquote bizarre things. So the children would practice with the roulette wheel, and we would control the roulette wheel so that if we all together decided in the classroom that we were going to have the number 10 show up, well, within 1 to 2, max three top tries, the number 10 would show up. So these were things that the kids grew up with. This is like, we can do this. We turned on LED flashlights with our minds. This is just training, blindfolded archery, using random generators to manipulate. We even had a program. I mean, sounds like, oh, the parents let you gamble, but hey, they were open to all this. It was cool. So we had horse racing, and it was done on the computer, and the kids would work in groups collectively and pick a horse. And the kids whose I would say whose energy was strongest, you would see that horse move. So these were just things that were like everyday occurrences. It was really phenomenal. So to get back, we can influence all of this, and it doesn't matter who we're praying to. It's going to work as long as the intention is there and the prayers are strong. So I just wanted to share that too, because we really need to have this stuff out there as natural, because this sixth sense needs to be seen as our first sense. That's my take on this.
Excellent.
Thanks for letting me share.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's great. Anita, because we're running out of time, so let's rush through some of these now.
All right, so something about what Don was saying. So Newton's third law is for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, and this talks about forces. So we have the gravitational force pulling things down, and in physics there is an opposite force which is directed upwards called the normal force, and they have the equal strength, which is why things will stay put on the ground. Anyway, when I remote view, I've noticed things happening in sessions where I always think about Newton's third law. When I see, like if I'm just collecting perceptions, this doesn't happen. But as soon as I dig deeper to the point of almost bilocating, when I see a person on the target side, the person sees me. I'm reading it in their thoughts, behaviors, and they're looking me straight in the eye. When I touch a person, I feel the person touch me back. So I experience this in sessions when I'm really close there. There's this interaction. What I do to the target, it does to me. When I see them, they see me. So I just wanted to share that.
Thanks for that, Anita, as well. And Sasha, you got your hand up as well.
Yes, I do. Sorry for the delay there. I found on the SSC website the information about, it's Danny Caputi, who did a talk based on her experiment with a random number generator, and she put it in a plane, and then the plane took off, and what they measured was the effect of turbulence on the this is tying back to what Dawn was talking about earlier. I have it here. Shall I try to share screen? Would that be interesting or no? Yes, okay. Oh, I have so many tabs open, but here we go. Let's try that. Can everyone see this? Yes, okay. So this is the abstract, and it's on the scientificexploration.org 2018 conference. And so here she's talking about random number event generator placed on an aircraft. The output was significantly more ordered when flying through regions of convective turbulence at a significant significance effect. So here as well, it's not just human consciousness that has an effect on these things. It looks like if there's turbulence in the system itself, there's kind of something that's looking to restore equilibrium. And so I thought if people are interested in that, Dawn in particular, if you're interested in that, that may be someone to look up, Danny Caputi, because in 2018, she was doing her PhD, so she should be done now. And here she is. So she presented on the Thursday of that conference, if one wants to kind of look that up. Yeah, so I just thought I would share that in case that's informative or helpful. Okay, I will stop sharing if I can figure out how to. Oh yes, okay.
You got it. Excellent. Thanks for that, Sasha. And again, Don, I put the links to 2 books by Lynn McTaggart, The Intention Experiment, and another one that was great as well is called The Field by Lynn McTaggart as well. And that details the kind of things you were looking at and a lot more as well. They're both excellent books. So I think that's pretty much it for this evening because we've gone to 2.25 hours. So thank you everyone for sharing all your predictions and everything.
That was fabulous. That
Hello?
was really, really great. Great conversation. Thanks, everybody.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. So that's it for probably this year, guys. We won't do any more now because it's getting towards Christmas and everyone's got their own lives and stuff to do. And my targets are on Facebook for those of you that want some targets to do.
Cool. I want to do those too that you've got up there.
So yeah, have a good Christmas, and we'll get together again in the new year, guys, and we'll see what we can do next year because it's been a great year with all these experiences that you guys have been sharing for the past year. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dad.
And Jimmy, don't forget to come on Discord.
I will check it out. Thank you. And I hope you believe my stories.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah. Have a good weekend and a good Christmas, everyone. Take care.
Yeah, you guys
Happy
too.
holidays.
Thanks for everything,
guys. Good
Des.
night.
Yeah, good evening.
Okay, good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.